Hey guys, this is ID Jester here. Just wanted to get a short video out here and explain something that I think I figured out. So we did some Internet Baseball League, a couple different games here on my channel, and this hard grounder, routine grounder, and the rules associated with it was really confusing. And I had sent an email to the Internet Baseball League to see if they would kind of answer it for me. But I spent some more time looking through the rules and just sitting down and trying to wrap my head around this rule, and I think I figured it out. So I just want to share with you guys the information that I have now, and I'll show you why this is a little bit confusing. So, according to that chart we just looked at, the rules we're looking at is whenever you have a base runner on first and you hit into a grounder, it says out at second on HG minus, C below, otherwise better out at first. If there's a hit and run play on, blah, 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 blah. And on HG minus, you come down here and you look and it says infield turning pivot has dash rating, roll one die. If result is less than batter's rating, star, he is safe at first. All right, so that's why it's a little bit confusing. So when we break this down, we can actually see it's not as confusing now that I've actually figured it out. The biggest problem is if we look at just a player card, you will notice that there are HG results and there are HG minus results on the player card. So if we roll against a right-hander, we roll, say, a 140, it's going to get an HG minus, but if we roll, say, 200, it's going to be an HG result. So if we look at the rule, again, HG grounder, runner at second is out on an HG minus, C below, otherwise batter out at first. And then, of course, we can kind of disregard the hit and run thing because that brings in a different part of the rule. So then the bottom part says HG minus if infielder turning pivot has a dash rating, roll a die. If result is less than the batter rating, star, he is safe. So this star basically means his run rating. All right, so that's what we're going to look at. We're going to find out. So what is this rule trying to simulate? What is it trying to do? Well, this rule is saying a bad shortstop or second baseman. Well, those are the ones that'll get a minus on them. They will sometimes allow a hitter to get to first before the throw and keep out of the double play result. So let's look at the player cards again. Look at Roberto Andino for Baltimore here. You can see under his second baseman here, he's got an error rating of 9. He also has a range of G, but there's also this plus symbol next to it, which means he's an excellent, excellent second baseman. Under shortstop, he's got an error rating of 1, and he's got an an error rating of 1 and a range of E. And then he doesn't have a plus, he doesn't have a minus, it's just a blank. So when he has a blank there, he just means he's average at turning the double play. The plus means you're really good at turning the double play. A minus means you're really bad at turning a double play, and a blank, which a lot of the cards, if we just look through the different cards, a ton of them are just blank. So very rarely, I won't say rarely, but just occasionally you'll come across a plus symbol or a minus symbol on players. So you should take note of any pluses or minuses you have for your second baseman and shortstop. So with that said, there's also pluses and minuses here on the card. You can see here for HG result, we can get just a regular HG, hit to second base or shortstop or third base. We also have down here RG plus. There's also an RG somewhere else around here, somewhere maybe right there. That's where I'm looking for, an RG result there. So that's why the rule is a little bit confusing, is because you're just not sure. Are they talking about the plus or minus on the player's card, or are they talking about the plus or minus here? So here's the way I'm breaking it down for you guys here, and hopefully this will help. So when your second baseman or your shortstop is a blank rating, so he doesn't have a plus, he doesn't have a minus, on any HG results, it's going to be runner out at second, runner out at first, double play. Okay? And when your second baseman or your shortstop, again, has a blank, and an HG minus result comes up, it's still going to be the same thing. Out at second, out at first, double play. Okay, so your average second baseman, shortstop, average because they're blank. HG results with the runner at first is always going to be a double play. Out at second, out at first. No question about that. All right. Now, when your second baseman and your shortstop do have a minus, all right, when they do have a minus, one of them has a minus and they end up being the pivot player. When you hit an HG result, just a regular old HG result. So if I roll again, say 200 on here, it's just going to be HG. It's going to be a double play, second baseman. Boom, boom. All right. So on an HG result, same thing. Boom, out at second, out at first. Double play. When your second baseman or your shortstop have the minus rating and you roll on the HG minus results, you're going to then use this HG result. So that's why, or I'm sorry, HG minus result rule. So, and then the same thing happens when you have a plus symbol next to your second baseman or shortstop. HG result on the card is going to be same thing. Out at second, out at first, double play. And if they have a plus symbol and you roll an HG minus, same thing. Out at second, out at first, double play. It's the only time this rule comes into play. When you roll HG, HG minus, HG, HG minus, HG, or HG minus, the only time it comes into play is when your second baseman or shortstop have the actual minus there. So the minus lines up with the minus, and the way I look at it is when the batter card symbol matches the second baseman or the shortstop's pivot rating, then you check the rules. So when the symbols are the same, stop the game and check the rules. So remember that. When the symbols are the same, stop the game and check the rules. Same thing goes for the routine grounder on the other end of the spectrum, which is result of the play when you have a runner on at first and you hit into an RG. The results are going to be out at second. You're going to check the rule on a plus symbol. Otherwise, batter safe at first. And of course, the hit run, it brings in something else. And then the special rule is obviously HG plus. If the infielder turning pivot has a plus rating, we're going to roll a die, subtracting 5. The result is greater than the batter's rating. Run speed, run rating, run rating, get rid of that. He's out at first. So basically it's going to be out at second, safe at first, anytime you hit a routine grounder. So just remember that. When you hit a hard ground ball, it's easy to turn because you got so much time as a shortstop or a second baseman to turn the double play. You have a much better chance of getting a double play. And in fact, you will always get a double play unless you have a minus player as a second baseman or shortstop, and they're doing the pivot on that. On the routine grounder, it's the exact opposite. Run around a second, batter always safe at first, unless you have a plus symbol on one of your shortstop or second baseman, and they are doing the pivot on the play. So same chart here, we have second baseman, shortstop. They have a blank rating. It's an RG result. It's going to be out at second, safe at first, no double play. Same thing with the RG plus. When you roll an RG plus and your second baseman, shortstop have a blank rating, it's going to be the same thing. Out at second, safe at first, no double play. When they have a minus rating, so either your second baseman or shortstop, if they have a minus rating, doesn't matter. Out at second, safe at first, no double play. If your second baseman or shortstop have a minus rating and they're on the RG plus, same thing. Out at second, safe at first, no double play. And then finally, most importantly, when your second baseman do have the plus symbol and they roll an RG result, doesn't matter. RG result, same thing. Out at second, safe at first, no double play. The only time this rule comes into play is when your second baseman or shortstop have the plus symbol rating and you roll an RG plus. Same thing like we did over here. You have to have the minus rating and you have to roll an HG minus. Same thing over here. When your ratings are your second baseman or shortstop have the plus rating and they're the pivot player in this play, and you roll an RG plus, then you're going to check the special rule, the RG plus rule. So again, when the batter card symbols match the second baseman or a shortstop pivot rating, then you check the rule. When the symbols are the same, stop the game and check the rules. Otherwise, an HG or HG minus is always a double play, and an RG and an RG plus are always out at second, base runner safe at first. That's going to be your base rule for those, unless your shortstop or second baseman that's turning the pivot on the play has a plus symbol and you roll an RG plus, or your second baseman or shortstop have the minus rating and you roll the HG minus result. Then you're going to check these two rules. Otherwise, again, HG or HG minus is always a double play, and your RG and RG plus is always run around a second, base runner safe at first. So hopefully this will um, kind of explain why we were having so many issues, because you're looking at plus symbols at both on the card and on the player ratings. And are they talking about what exactly are they talking about when they're looking at the minus rating? They're looking at the minus rating up here. We're looking at the minus rating on here. I think this is the way it was designed, and it makes sense. If you play lots of baseball simulations, as we do here on my channel, hard grounder, normally going to be a double play. In your routine grounders, normally going to be out at second, safe at first. The only way these are going to change is if you have a bad shortstop or first baseman that's turning the pivot on the play. There's a chance that the runner could get down there and break up that double play, get down the line fast enough. And the same thing here, if you have a really good shortstop or second baseman who's the pivot man on the play, if they're really good, really fast, and they turn these double plays really well, then there's a chance that they could get that double play by getting that runner out at first before he can get down there. So hopefully this will allow us to play some more Internet Baseball League, which I plan on doing. I know we've done some here on my channel. We just run into some issues and spent a lot of time on this rule. Like I said, after thinking about it and just kind of putting my head around it, rereading the rule over and over again, and trying to, the basic thing is, okay, what is this rule trying to simulate? What is it trying to allow? And once we kind of figured that out, it kind of all fell into piece. It's like, okay, well, the hard grounders are always going to give a double play. This is kind of your out for that. If you're on the batter's side, this is kind of their out is, okay, well, maybe I can get down there before they can turn the play, but only if there's a shortstop or second baseman that has a bad rating, which is the minus sign. And then the same rule applies over here where it's like, okay, it's always out at second, runner safe at first. Well, wait a minute. There's a chance if we have a really good shortstop or a really good second baseman that has the plus symbol, there's a chance he can snag that double play before the runner can get down there. So hopefully this will make things flow a little bit quicker, because then you won't be looking up the charts all the time. And I know that Stratomatic Delaware is downloaded some of the Internet Baseball League stuff, and I think he's going to be starting to hopefully get some of that on his channel as well. So definitely go to Stratomatic Delaware and look to see if he's got any videos up if you want to look at some more Internet Baseball League, which is a system based upon the old Pursue the Pennant. Real solid system, and really, really interested in this game. There is a lot of charts and a lot of things to look up, but it's because it's in depth and detailed, which I don't mind spending a little bit of time. When you look at a hit, is it really just a quick double play out, or is there always that chance that maybe, just maybe, your runner could make it down the line in time, which makes, puts a little bit more strategy in. Do I use this runner? I know that their second baseman over there is a minus player, so obviously I want to try and get somebody that would hit it to the second baseman as opposed to hitting to the shortstop, which might give me an advantage to get down there and keep out of a double play. So I think it brings a lot of strategy back in the game. So anyways, just a short video on the whole Internet Baseball League, hard grounder, routine grounder. If anybody has any questions, be sure to leave your thoughts, comments, suggestions below. And hopefully we'll see you gaming quickly. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys next time.